The place, a valley in the remote interior of British Columbia. The time, 1943. The boy, one of many Japanese Canadians uprooted by the war because of his genes. The boy was me. When I was a child, I spent 3 years as a prisoner of my own government. My crime was being born with genes that had come from Japan 2 generations earlier. During the war with Japan, those Japanese genes gave me the face of the enemy. Like thousands of other North Americans of Japanese ancestry, I was uprooted from my home and interned in a remote part of the continent. For my parents, life must have been very hard. But for me as a child, running free through the Slocan Valley was more of an adventure than a punishment. And it's easy to see there the roots of who I became. That place inspired my love of nature and set me on the path that led to my becoming a biologist. And the dawning realization that I'd been rejected because of my race formed social and political attitudes that have stayed with me ever since. All in all, it seemed that my childhood experience shaped my whole personality. Or did it? It's an uncomfortable thought, but maybe childhood experiences aren't as important as we think. Maybe my genes made my personality all on their own, determining who I'd be long before I was even born. After all, the whole thrust of the biological revolution and of our series has been the critical role the DNA of our genes has in shaping us. My DNA literally carries, in the order of the 4 chemicals it's made of, the instructions to build and operate my entire body. My genes are simply messages written out in this 4-letter code, each gene thousands of letters long. At the beginning of this series, we printed out the 6 billion or so letters it takes to encode the instructions for a human being and stored them in long file drawers representing our chromosomes. The result is a vast archive of information whose entire contents scientists are now well on their way to deciphering. We've seen how they've already found thousands of genes that spell out how our bodies are made and that can go wrong in diseases like cancer. So it's natural to ask, are there also in here genes that determine who we are? Could it be that the genes within us are secretly pulling invisible threads that lead us through life, quietly deciding who we'll work for, when we'll fall in love, whom we'll marry, even for whom we'll vote? Do our chromosomes contain genes for sociable, for shy, for cop, for criminal, for scientist?